Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace, mercy, and blessings of God be upon you. This is a new presentation from www.central-mosque.com and from the Humble Heart YouTube channel. The topic today is Trump, QAnon, Dajjal, and Muslims. The conspiracy theories and why are so many of us falling for them. I meet Muslims all the time who speak to me and share material with me via WhatsApp and email and tell me to look at this or look at that. Many of it comes from Christian or Judaic sources. You need to understand that both Christianity and Judaism have had violent ideological clashes with science. Islam never did. It is in their DNA to disbelieve science. Islam, on the other hand, has regarded science as a tool and discovery as a mechanism. The methods used need to conform to Quran and the Sunnah, and the output gained from that needs to also conform to Quran and the Sunnah. We have Quran and the Sunnah as the supreme criterion and binding, while other religions do not. We as Islam, alhamdulillah, have a criterion to judge science, while other religions do not. Secondly, in my conservative home state in America, the natives are at war with liberals, with the establishment, with the Democrats. I, as a Muslim, have no reason to be in ideological war with anyone unless it contradicts with Quran and the Sunnah, and then I disagree with that particular point. They keep coming up with theories like flat earth, or moon landing is fake, climate change is hoax, QAnon, COVID-19 is man-made, and each and every one of Alex Jones of Infowar, David Duke, David Icke, Michael Chodowski have ideological tilt which is based on their mindset. My ideological tilt is whatever Allah Ta'ala and His beloved messenger, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, brought. When in doubt, I consult reliable and authentic scholars on theological aspects. Now to another important point. Clarity and being able to perceive and identify truth from falsehood is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in chapter 2, verse number 56, that the right path is distinct from wrong. قَدْ تَبَيَّنَ الرُّشْدُ مِنَ الْغَيِّ. Then Allah ta'ala also says in chapter 5, verse number 16, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings them from darkness into light. يُخْرِجُهُم مِّنَ الظُّلُمَاتِ إِلَى النُّورِ. By contrast, what does Shaytan, the devil, do? Allah ta'ala says in chapter 7, verse number 16 and 17, that Shaytan approaches you from all sides. When you read the commentary of these verses, it means Shaytan puts ideas in your minds from all sides and confuses the heck out of you. Then, let's consider what magic does. We find the story of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam, peace and blessings be upon him, in chapter 21, verse number 69. Allah Ta'ala fundamentally changed the properties of fire into something cool for Ibrahim alayhi salam. This was a material change. Versus, in the case of magicians of Pharaoh or Pharaoh, in chapter 27, verse 10, the ropes and things appeared as snake to Prophet Musa, peace and blessings be upon him. In other words, Prophet Musa, peace and blessings be upon him, perceived the ropes and things as snakes. They were not really snakes, but appeared as such. There was no material change, but a perception issue. The confusion or blurring of reality is so critical that we are even taught a dua to constantly pray to Allah Ta'ala. This is a beautiful sunnah of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, to constantly grant us the ability to be able to distinguish between truth and falsehood. Allahumma arina al-haqqa haqqan warzuqna ittiba'ah wa arina al-batila batilan warzuqna ijtinabah. Beautiful, beautiful prayer to give us the ability to distinguish truth and falsehood separately. On a factual level, In the Quran, we're commanded to refer the matter to experts. Usually people talk about this verse in the context of ulama, and rightly so, that we're supposed to consult ulama in matters of Islam, but this verse also applies to other fields. Every field, whether it's science, whether it's technological, engineering, medicine, you're supposed to refer the matter to experts. The applicability of this to refer matters to experts is general. So for example, in America, we have over 200,000 people who have died due to coronavirus because of the policies of Donald Trump. Why? There are many reasons, but one of them is this person right here. Because Donald Trump listens to Dr. Scott Atlas. I have seen even Muslims quoting Dr. Scott Atlas back to me when it comes to COVID-19. When you dig deeper, he's a neuroradiologist, i.e., he's not an expert in viruses, not an expert in public health, not an expert on pandemics. Donald Trump has other people who are experts of that, and he's disregarding their advice and going to this guy because he gets along with him. Fine. And this is a problem. Now, on a Muslim side, British Muslims often quote Muslim doctor in aid of their theories on vaccines, on COVID-19. This doctor with a DR in his title is a psychiatrist. He's not an expert on vaccines. So why should I disregard the views of hundreds of practicing Muslim doctors who are experts in their field and prefer the opinion of a psychiatrist? By the way, when you read his views, you find plenty of things wrong with it from a scientific point of view, but I am giving you a very simplistic explanation that you can understand as a layman. You're trying to listen to a psychiatrist on issues which are to do with viruses, with vaccines, with microbiology and public health and so on and so forth. So I'm giving you a simple analogy which you can get and understand. So as I said before, that many of these theories are based on presumptions. And then they ask you, is it not possible? And just because something is possible doesn't make it a fact. President Trump last week refused to condemn QAnon. So what is QAnon? It is a theory that there's a worldwide cabal of Satan-worshipping pedophiles which control and run this world. Sounds crazy, doesn't it? What if I changed it to say, there's a worldwide cabal of Shaytaan worshippers who control everything in the world, directed by Dajjal? Many of you listening right now will now somehow believe what I'm saying and try to apply it to everything. In fact, there are many links of scholars who actually specifically talking about this. So I wanted to bring this example of QAnon, which by a little modification, your Muslim mind is willing to accept and apply to every single thing in your life. And that is a problem. So before I tell you that it's a problem, understand that trying to make money isn't a problem in Islam. There were plenty of companions of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, like Sayyidina Usman, may God be pleased with him, and Sayyidina Abdurrahman bin Auf, may God be pleased with him, and later Muslims like the great Imam Abu Hanifa, may God be pleased with him, who were billionaires or even trillionaires by today's standards. So if someone is making money without breaking the rules of business or trade or employment mentioned in the Quran and the Sunnah, it's fine. A pharmacological company which seeks to make money, provided that they follow the rules in Islam, is fine. You may think that it's unethical, but it isn't haram. And if you think that it's haram, feel free to comment and justify yourself in the comment section from the Quran and the Sunnah. Now, people and systems also make mistakes in all kinds of areas and all the time. Like the British health system of the NHS makes mistakes. It's well documented, and the mistakes are going to be made in any system. The issue becomes when you view everything through the lens of conspiracy theories. So you overlook the fact that mistakes are made, and your local doctor is there to kill you or make money. The NHS nurse, when you're at the hospital, is there to kill you or harm you. Everybody's colluding, cooperating to harm you or mislead you or misguide you. This sort of centralized cooperation is a figment of your imagination because there's no evidence for it whatsoever. This is your presumption, and you're assuming that is happening based on tidbits of information because someone's trying to make money or there's mistakes in the system. So loads and loads of conspiracy theories which Muslims send me are mostly about, you know what, the doctors are making money, the pharmacological industry is making money. Yeah, of course they're making money. So it's a corporate system. Engineers are making money. He's making money, she's making money. Then they talk about mistakes. Of course, mistakes happen all the time. What you've done is you've taken tidbits of this information and applied it centrally to believe, just like the QAnon people, that there is a central cabal. So from your local shopkeeper to your local police to your local doctor to the nurse to the hospital, everything is centrally linked into this conspiracy theory because your mind works this way. Why does your mind work this way? Let's explore that. So a conspiracy theory in general is that powerful people collude together to bring evil to the world in a coordinated, centralized manner. So why do so many people believe this? There are many factors, of course. First among them is those who feel that they are minorities or disenfranchised or feel pessimist or feel powerless to change the course of the world. Then, and this is not meant as an insult, but people with lower education and less ability to coherently discuss and analyze issues fall for these. When you're doing da'wah, you meet all kinds of Muslims and non-Muslims, and you quickly realize that this person hasn't thought this through. Generally, they watch something on YouTube and they ask you to watch it too. They cannot explain in detail what they've learned from this video and what the person is saying in detail, but they keep insisting that you also watch it. It is convenient because this conspiracy theory explains reality and fits with their perception. We humans need things to make sense, and whatever they've heard, even though they have not understood it, they have not critically dissected it, but it makes sense to them. And then let me tell you, once you fall for one conspiracy theory, you keep falling and falling and falling. It is because your mindset and perception has been altered. On a theological level, there have been sects in Islam who believe that each concept has a hidden meaning. So salah doesn't mean actions which you perform 5 times a day, but it has some other hidden meaning that you need to get to. That's why you have Muslims who keep seeing things in symbols or in Coca-Cola or Pepsi, because their minds have changed and they have programmed it to ignore the obvious and keep digging for something else. As a professional, I can tell you that corporations spend a huge amount of money to avoid controversy. So why would they go out of their way to embed hidden meanings in their products to demean Islam and risk a backlash? So if you believe that capitalism is about making money, then on what level of marketing strategy does it make sense to alienate Muslims and deliberately inject pork or components of pig into products which don't really need them? In addition, if you're a Muslim and some company puts pig blood in your chocolate by deception and you eat it, then let me ask you from a fiqh perspective, what sin is that to you? Now, mistakes do happen. So in an advertising campaign, for example, someone takes a particular calligraphy because they don't understand Arabic and they put it together or something like that. That's a mistake. What I'm talking about here is a conspiracy theory that you actually believe that major corporations take Muslim writings or names of Allah or verses of the Quran, deliberately twist it, and then sell it back to you, and you need to really look at these symbols to try to understand it. That is a conspiracy theory. Once again, I'm not talking about mistakes. I'm talking about the perception that everybody is out there centrally and deliberately and purposefully coordinating against you. That is a conspiracy theory. So why have they become prevalent in our times? It is because internet is now a giant information overload, and information provided is not vetted. It lacks standards. Anyone can Google and read whatever they want. Let me give you an example. When I was writing my thesis, I remember doing literature review where you look at past studies on your topic, and before 1990s, all the material was in book or printed form, so you had to go to the library, find the book, spend time to read it. dissect it, critically analyze it. After 1990s, most of the information can be searched. So on the internet, all kinds of ideas are openly available for you to indulge into without having the background information or knowledge or intelligence to be able to critically analyze any of it. So should you believe everything at face value? Absolutely not. Politicians, governments lie all the time, deliberately and on purpose. The most common example is the West going to war, in our lifetime that is, the West going to war against Saddam Hussein by lying about WMD right in the United Nations. Clearly, blatantly, openly. Here's a clip of the current US Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, speaking about the CIA at Texas A&M University and admitting to lying openly and clearly. Watch this clip.
I was the CIA director. We lied, we cheated, we stole. We had entire training courses.
So we know mistakes happen. We know people lie. But how do you avoid falling into a mindset where you see everything as a giant conspiracy theory? Firstly, we're Muslims. So read this dua from the Sunnah as much as possible, as often as possible. Pray that your mind can see things clearly and able to dissect and critically analyze issue. Pray that Allah Ta'ala puts you in touch with the people who are sincere, who will guide you when you're unable to do so. Secondly, identify experts in the areas of knowledge or in the field of your question. Identify those whom you're willing to trust. Discuss things with an open mind. Science is built on skepticism and disagreement as part of the discussion. But when reading disagreements, whose opinions are you following? Why are you following the opinions of a Muslim psychiatrist on vaccine? He may be a greatest psychiatrist in Britain, but why is he issuing an opinion and contradicting hundreds of Muslims and non-Muslim experts in this field? I'm giving you a very superficial view here. Ideally, you want some knowledge in the field to be able to dissect both opinions. But in my experience, most people do not. When you actually read what this Muslim psychiatrist is saying on vaccines, from a scientific point of view, it makes no sense. However, in my experience, most people do not or cannot do that. They do not spend the time to read a study and to understand it. By the way, not everything which is published on the internet is a study. When you publish a study, you put it for scrutiny from experts in your field. Lastly, to think that you understand everything in every field is nothing but arrogance, and Allah Ta'ala does not like arrogant people. Jazakallahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.